Thanks everybody for joining. We're gonna start sharp on the clock for this session. We have a huge privilege to have a good friend of mine, but also a Microsoft MVP and Microsoft Regional Director, directly from his home in Belgium. So it's going to be a night session for Gokan tonight. So please ask any question to keep him alive and awake.
Awake.
Um,
Yeah.
the session today that Gokan will do is a zero to hero Microsoft Teams tips and tricks that empower everyone. So Gokan, without any further ado, you are good to go. The stage is yours. Have a good one.
Thank you so much. So welcome everyone. Bonjour. Well, hello. Buongiorno. Good morning. Guten Abend from everywhere, from the north to the south, to the east to the west. Welcome everybody to this second part of Mastering Microsoft Teams session. We had a tremendous session yesterday, and if I'm not wrong, we are like more than 200 into my session, and we have been doing the part one of Mastering Microsoft Teams, and we have been seeing how SharePoint was integrated with Teams and how you could use the conversations. But today, the scope will be more different. We will be seeing a lot of everything, like from your personal settings. We will touch a little bit to DLP. We will touch to the Power Platform. We will create our own app and see how you can integrate your teams within Flow and PowerApps. So it's going to be a huge session with a lot of tips and tricks that you can use in your every single minute in your job. This is the first 5 minutes will be a little bit repeating from the first session of yesterday, because I got a huge amount of emails and tweets about the interaction that Teams had with SharePoint. So I'm going to again showcase for those who missed or didn't really understood how SharePoint was integrated with Teams. It's going to just take like 5 or 10 minutes. I'm going to show that to you, and then we will move directly and jump directly into the essence of the session. So you're all invited to the Microsoft 365 Collaboration Conference as well. I'll be speaking there, hopefully, if the COVID-19 permits us. I'm pretty sure Sebastian will be there as well. So if you have the chance and come meet us, you are all welcome to join us. All the sponsors, I am a product marketing manager working at Valo. So we also have a sponsor room, and I'm inviting you to go all there so we can grab something to drink all together on the virtual room and discuss about what we have to offer herein. So Microsoft Teams, what is Microsoft Teams? Microsoft Teams, as I showed yesterday, is a container, and it's a correct statement to say that Teams is a container that consumes and uses every single service into Office 365 or Microsoft 365. It uses the SharePoint service to store its files. It uses the Power Platform to automate and to bring new experiences into the Microsoft Teams ecosystem. You can use Planner, or how we call it today, Microsoft Tasks, to have a unified view with all of those tasks you have from a channel, from a team, from Outlook, and to work into one single experience. You can use any SharePoint framework solution inside the tab. It will use the Microsoft 365 group security model to manage all the permissions, etc., etc. So it is a correct statement and a clear statement that Teams is a container that actually consumes every single service and microservice coming from Microsoft 365. So it is a capacity, one capability, one experience, one single hub for the communication and collaboration perspective. That being said, that's the only slide I have before the demo, because all the rest we have been seeing that yesterday. So now we jump into the demonstration. So remember, this is the demo environment I had yesterday, and we have been seeing so much that I have to repeat for the first 5 minutes what we have seen yesterday with SharePoint, because I got a lot of requests to redo that because a bunch of people missed that and they want to hear it again. So whenever you have actually a team into your Microsoft Teams, well, you can create a channel. A channel is a container within your team that has actually a ribbon where you can have multiple applications running on the top, and where you have the SharePoint experience under the Files tab, where you can just add any file. And consume the SharePoint experience within Microsoft Teams. So whenever you come just here and add a new channel, what we have seen yesterday is we can give any name to our channel. And I'm going to choose maybe something different than yesterday, and I'm going to choose soccer because I love soccer playing, right? So from a Teams perspective, you can choose if it's a standard channel or a private channel. We all have seen that yesterday. So I'm going to choose for the standard one, and I'm going to add that. And what will happen in the backend is that the new channel will be created completely empty with the post pane completely empty. And whenever I come to the files experience, well, hooray, I have the SharePoint experience. That does mean that if I open the SharePoint site, which is the underlying, underlying database or underlying file holder for you, well, you'll be seeing that actually you have. And now my mouse is dying. I don't know why, so I'm going to do it with the laptop. So what you're going to see is I have a bunch of those folders. And remember what I told you, it is not because you delete the channel that the folders are deleted here as well. So I'm going to find for the soccer, and hooray, I have my soccer folder here. So that means that whenever I create a file into that specific channel, and I'm going to create the Word document, give it a name, Gokan's file, and create that file into my channel, I will leave the Teams experience, come into the Word experience, add very fast a few text here into it, and then close that one. Very easy, very straightforward. I have my first file. That means literally if I do a refresh under my SharePoint site, well, that file will be stored into that specific folder soccer. However, what I've been explaining yesterday is that I've seen a lot of people using emojis into channel names. So if I try to use the same name, well, it will say like, Gokan, you can do that. It's actually forbidden because the channel name already exists. So what a lot of people are doing is they use emojis. And now what I'm going to do is show you that emojis can be bad for you. I'm going to choose the, well, not this one, maybe the $sign to make it easier, the $sign, and I'm going to close it. So from a Teams perspective, it's okay. The red warning has disappeared, and I can choose a channel name with an emoji. Again, the privacy is standard. I'm adding that, coming here, and what we have seen yesterday is that whenever you go on the Files tab under the SharePoint experience, well, ta-da, you will see the file that you have been creating a few minutes ago, which is strange, right? Because you never did create that file under the soccer $sign. You did create that file into the soccer channel. What did happen in the backend is if I go back to my document, well, it didn't create a soccer with a $sign folder. SharePoint said, oh, I got the message from Teams to create a new folder which has the same name as an existing one. So instead of creating a second one, he simply consumes actually the one that exists, the soccer folder, which means that you have two channels which are actually connected to one folder. What we have seen yesterday as well is if you do like a new add channel and say like soccer, and then add another one and add a heart just herein, the error message will disappear. I'm adding that just herein. What's going to happen now is, surprisingly enough, that the file is not appearing here. And the reason, therefore, is if I go to SharePoint, well, now the provisioning engine behind Teams and SharePoint, well, he could understand that there was an emoji with a heart sign, and he could transform that heart sign from an emoji to an ASCII code, and he could create that folder for me. And that's the reason why you don't see the folder just appearing herein. The bad thing with that is that your manager could say like, Gokan, hey, come on, soccer is not professional. So could you please change that? And yes, you can do that. If you hit on edit this channel, I can change this from soccer to football because we Europeans call this football and not soccer. So I'm going to choose football and change this one to football as well because we play soccer with our foot, so which makes a lot of sense to call it a football. And now I'm pretty sure every American will leave the room. I'm calling this football, and there we go. From a Teams perspective, everything is doing well. It works perfectly because my channel names are doing great. However, if I do a refresh under the SharePoint experience, well, again, it didn't do a lot. It's still soccer into the folder name. So what a lot of people could do and say like, oh, I'm scared that my manager could get mad with me, so I'm gonna do a rename here as well. So what many people are doing is this: they call it football like this, and SharePoint will allow that to you. He will say, okay, fair enough, you can do that. So I'm gonna do the same just here and say like, okay, I'm gonna rename this, and I'm gonna do it like football. Yeah, SharePoint doesn't reclaim, it all works, I can do that. However, if I come back to my SharePoint, my Teams experience, if I go to the SharePoint tab, well, bingo, you have the jackpot. Now the files experience is broken. The SharePoint experience is literally broken and you can't add any file. And surprisingly enough, the file that we just created, well, is no longer available. And that was the biggest surprise yesterday when I showed this, and I got a lot of feedback like this was crazy, and it is literally insane. Two more things, and then we'll just deep dive to the new demo. What I showed yesterday is even if you change the name of your team, and let me show that to you, I'm going to change this to actually the soccer versus football site. Right, from a Teams perspective, it works perfectly. It has been changed. However, if I come back to my site, well, I can do a refresh. Well, that didn't really do the trick. So always be careful whenever you create channels, whenever you give names to those channels, whenever you do XYZ with channels and team names, it's a big, big, big issue. And what I always give as a recommendation to my customers is to use technical names. And that's the reason why, and look to that. It is called, my site is called Dark King from the Batman, because I did just that site, call it the Dark King, but then I just changed the site to M365 VM. Now it's called the Soccer versus Football Team. However, the engine behind the renaming process doesn't really take care about the URL. So it's always a good recommendation to, whenever you create a team, to never give actually a real name like this. It's always good to give a technical name. Like it could be like IT Project 004 from the marketing. I don't know, I'm just guessing something. And whenever you create that, then the engine behind the provisioning will then use that typical name to create your site, to create your email, to create X, Y, Z, all the artifacts behind Teams. And then no matter what your name is, soccer, football, Darking, XYZ, well, it's always ITPRG 004 marketing, right? So always try to use technical names with that. That being said, that was yesterday. That was all the remark I had from people who couldn't really understand or see what was happening in the backend. So I hope now that you have a clear view what's happening in Teams. A new tip that I want to show you is with Teams, there is no post scheduling, unfortunately. You cannot really say, okay, I have a big announcement and I want to schedule this for a specific time. So whenever you have a new announcement, well, if you give the name like new CEO, and Sebastian will be my CEO, new CEO, and I'm just writing Gokan is fired, welcome Seb. Well, the thing is, herein, there is no scheduling. There is no way to say like, okay, I want to publish this tomorrow because it's like midnight past here in Belgium time, and I want to do it like tomorrow at 8. So here is a lifesaver trick. Open your Outlook and write a new message. I'm opening my Outlook and I have my new email. I'm coming back to my Teams, and under a specific channel, well, you can do get email address. And now I have an email address, which is typically a Microsoft email address. It has nothing to do with my own tenancy. And unfortunately, it is not something that you can decide. It's still a technical. And remember the good practice I gave to you to always create your site, your team with technical names? Well, Microsoft is doing the same. They give a numerical value to your channel because they know that humans or employees or anybody can give any name, change the name, every time. So they just give a technical name, and no matter how it's called, it's going to be always the same technical name. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this and come under my email and say like, okay, I want to send an email here. Subject, new CEO. And I'm going to just delete my signature. Hi all, Sebastian is the new CEO. Please welcome him. So if I do this, and I'm going to just copy this to show you, if I do a send directly from here, what you will see is it will go out from my Outlook. I'm going to just discard this, and within a few seconds, well, I have to be on the correct channel. What you will see in a few seconds, and the time is correct, midnight past 16. Well, you will see that the mail is just herein. And here is the trick. If I open my email again, and I hit on new email, and I give the flight demo site email address and do new CEO, and then paste again the same message, under the options I have under Outlook what we call the delivery, the delayed delivery. And here in two options to remember. The importance, you can bring it to high, and then you can deliver the message on a specific time. And you could simply say, okay, I want to deliver this in 18, it's 17, so let's do it very fast. And now the message will remain in my outbox until it's 0018. So it will wait. So I'm actually scheduling a post into Teams. So as you can see, there is nothing coming in, and it will wait. And let me see how many seconds we have. Like, well, we have still like 30 seconds. And the thing is, even if it's like 0018, it always takes a few seconds more to bring all the thing here in. So we have like 30 seconds. I'm going to show you something else. We also have DLP in Microsoft Teams, and that means that you can't post a credit card information like you have one here into Teams. The engine which checks for the credit card numbers will always take a few seconds before actually saying that there is a mismatch between the policy that you applied in your tenancy and the value that you have given into Teams. And he will say, oh, be careful, that message has been blocked. Why? Because it actually is against a policy that you have been applying. And as an administrator, the owner of the team, I will get that what can I do link, and I can hit on that. Now, you have two options. You can override and send and give a justification. I could say, this is a test for SAP, and I can just confirm that. Or I could simply say, hey, I'm even not giving any of those justification, just go do it and report to my admin. What I will do is I'm going to override and send, and then say this is a test for SAP. Confirming it, now the red one will disappear, and the message is now actually confirmed, published into my Teams. And now what you also can see, remember the scheduling that we have done on 18? Well, we got our message at 18, which is important with the message that we have been writing. So we just invented with zero code actually a publishing engine for your Microsoft Teams. How cool is this? And I'm pretty sure a lot of people will use that in the coming days, because this is how you can actually achieve more with doing actually nothing. If I come back to my Outlook, you will see like, hey, be careful. There has been an information breach, and somebody is trying to do something with your credit card and the numbers. So I'm getting an email. And if I do, again, a new email and say like flight expenses, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to copy this and this into the subject and body. And in a few seconds, what's going to happen is that Outlook will say like, again, my buddy, there is a policy in your environment, in your tenancy, and you are still doing the same. You are sending sensitive information to Teams. You will get the same experience as you had in Teams. So I have a business justification, or this is not sensitive at all. So what I'm going to do is this is a test for SAP, override and send. Now the error message will disappear. However, it will mention that my decision might be reviewed by the organization. I'm sending this, and in a few seconds later, I will get a new email with the justification. And there we go, very fast, which says this is a test for Sam. As I'm the global administrator, I'm the one who will receive that email, which says there was a credit card information or team on that specific channel sent by Gokan and with this justification. How you do that? Very simply, if you come to the Office 365 Security and Compliance Admin Center, under the data loss prevention, you have the policies. As you can see, I have like two policies, one with a credit card, one which is a test that never actually succeeded. And let's create a policy together very simply. Well, if you come under the admin center and create a new policy, you have the financial one. And under the financial one, you can see a few of those financial institutions, financial data card examples. And I'm going to choose the France one because I'm living in Belgium, and Belgium is like the neighbor of France. So I'm going to use that one and hit on next and give it the name. I could say like credit card for M365 VM. I can give a description. I'm going to just hit something, go on next. And then I could say, okay, protect everything from Exchange email to Teams chat to channels to messages, even to OneDrive and SharePoint. Or I can simply say, I want to choose my locations. And then it will give you that screen where you can actually say, okay, here for Exchange, I can go for certain distribution groups. For SharePoint, I can go to any SharePoint sites or all SharePoint sites. Even if for Teams, if you just come here, well, you can choose for accounts. I can choose an account here and say like, okay, I want to bring the DLP rule here in. And here you have all the accounts I have running into my environment. And I'm really creative, like Jarvis, Hawkeye, Docking. All of those email addresses could be actually be applied with the policy, or I can simply also exclude those accounts and say like, oh, you know what? This demo site, which is actually running under the King, remember the soccer and the football site, well, I'm going to exclude that because, well, it's a demo site and I do not really care about the sensitive information, so you can do that. So you can include and exclude some locations from Teams, from OneDrive, from SharePoint, and from Exchange. However, you can simply say, okay, protect everything, and then you can bring more information. So just find the content on the credit card, on the EU credit card, and then say like, okay, who do you want to check? People with people outside my organization. So if I send the information to outside, or only people inside my organization. Very simple. I'm going to say with everybody, and then hit on next. A few things to read and check. So if you want to show a policy tip, if you want to do X, Y, Z, if you want to send an incident report in email, just read and select the ones that you think it's valuable for you, and then you just review and can make a test, or you can just say like, okay, run it now and save it, and I can run that. Easy as it is. You don't have to do so much. You don't have to be an expert into security or compliance. You can just come here and build your first DLP rule, which can check for your credit card number. Okay. Second example, we'll now switch to PowerApp. What I love with Microsoft Teams is that you can build any application with PowerApp and Microsoft Flow, or with the new name Power Automate, and you can bring any data into Microsoft Teams. So let's create a new app, and we'll create a new Canvas app, which is actually a simple standalone app, which has no data source, which has nothing, and we will start building a no-code. So again, it's for end users, a no-code application which anybody can use. So I'm going to use maybe the tablet layout and start a new application. And there you go. What I'm going to do is and I'm sorry, I'm very bad in design, and that's the reason why I'm not a designer or a developer. I've been extremely bad, so please excuse me for the bad design. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add an icon just here, and then do a button which we call save, and then we will have a text input just here like this. And then what we will do is we will also add a rating as this. Or you know what? We're gonna add a slider. I just changed my mind, and we will just add a slider. I prefer a slider. Don't ask me why. It looks way better. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just maybe change the maximum value to 10, and then the minimum value to 0. Let's leave it to 0. Okay. I have a feedback form, a very simple, ugly, extremely ugly feedback form, but hey, it's just to show you what you can achieve very simply with PowerApp and Flow to Microsoft Teams. And what I'm going to do now is very simply under the action, associate my object. So any object, it could be the text input, it could be slider, it could be my icon, to a Power Automate. So whenever I hit on Power Automate, it will show me every existing flow, but I'm not going to use existing ones, and I will use a new flow. I will create a new flow. Now I'm quitting actually the PowerApp designer to come to the flow designer. Just be sure that you're connected, and you could use any template because we will erase all of those things. We will just use the PowerApp. So I'm going to just use this as the starting point, and he will just check if my token, if my user has access to that. Yes, he made his checks, so I can just continue. And now I'm into the flow designer, which has 2 basic steps. The first one is the PowerApp, so the starting point is PowerApp. And the second one, well, we don't care, we will delete that, right? What you could do is you can add a new step, and you could say, okay, show me what you have in Teams. Okay, in Teams, well, I can list my teams, I can get the team, which is still in preview, or the one that I really like is the V3 of post a message. Okay, I want to post a message. That's the thing what I'm looking for. So what he's going to do now is he's asking me for 3 questions. The first question is, which team you want to use? Okay, I want to use the soccer and the football site, the teams, the demo site we had, the demo team we had. Where do you want to pitch it? Okay, I want to use the, let's go for the flight expenses. And now he says like, okay, what do you want to add into that? That's a good question. I could have like static content, but I want to use actually the controls that we just have been adding to that. And I say like, this is the feedback, and then I could ask a dynamic value, ask in PowerApp, and then say, and the score of your session was, and then do a new ask in PowerApp. Well, that literally means that my flow is actually waiting for 2 parameters before running. So how can we check that? I'm going to give this a name, M365 VM, and then save this. It's very, very, very simplistic, very easy to do flow. It is not that difficult, and there is no code at all saved into that. So if I come back to my PowerApp, well, you will see in a few seconds, the new flow that we have been just creating will appear into my list. And there you go. I have my M365 VM. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to add that. But the moment that that flow will be attached to my icon, well, it will fail, because he's expecting from me to have 2 parameters, right? And he gives that to you, complete flows parameters in the formula bar. So what I'm going to do is saying, hey, please use the dynamic value of the name of this, and this is called the text input. So I'm coming text in, strange enough. There we go. Intelligence is there. Text input dot text, and then giving another one, which is then the slider 1 dot value. Right, and now it's slider 1 dot value. Okay, there we go. So now I have my flow, which actually will run with 2 dynamic values, which is like the text input and the slider value. So now let's make a test. Now I'm gonna run my flow, and then say, this session is amazing. And then I'm gonna still give not the 10, but the 9 because I still have that Frenchy accent. I'm gonna just give a 9. And I'm saving that, and you will see in a few seconds, it will be delayed. My save button is grayed out. So if I come back to my flight expenses, well, you will see, hey, this session was amazing with a 9, and I have my feedback just herein. So you can easily play with PowerApp and say like, okay, I have my app with the flow, and I can bring any value to Teams that comes from PowerApp, from dynamic value with flow into that. What you also could do is within the PowerApp, and now I have to go to the homepage. I'm gonna just leave this because this is like the most ugliest application that you can find, but it's just to show you the flow, how you can do that. And under my apps, well, I have one application, I have one Power App that is running across the organization. And if I bring my focus on that, well, you can see that there is a new option called Add to Power Apps, Add to Teams. Whenever you hit on that, and I've been providing the feedback to Microsoft that this is maybe the worst experience that they could have, because whenever you hit on download the app, well, it will simply bring this as a zip file into my downloads, which is, I think, not a good idea. Well, we could have a spot into OneDrive for Business, where we can have application lifecycle management, where we can actually be always available with the cloud technology that we have today. Now it's just saving this under the C drive. I don't know why, but hey. Then if you come here under your Teams, well, you have what we call the App Studio, which is from Microsoft. And you can just come under the manifest editor, just herein, and create a new app. Well, create a new app. If you have a bunch of those developer skill sets and application skill sets, you can do that. Or if you're a no-code guy like me, well, you could create any app into Power App and say like, okay, I want to import an existing app. And then you can just come under the downloads and then say, okay, I have my app, the car rental app, and then add that app into the app catalog. And now I have my app just herein. And what's tremendously good with that is that any app that you add, well, you can use them into PowerApp. And this app, I didn't do anything. Like there was no restriction at all, no versioning, no check, no X, no Y, no Z. Just download your app, bring them into the app catalog with the App Studio, and ping it and use it. Simple as it is. Another tip, if you have a meeting, this is my calendar, which is like pretty empty because it's like midnight. Well, you could make a live meeting, which we are doing now, right? You could have a live meeting where the presenter is talking and showing some stuff and everybody is listening. You could have a simple meeting, or you can just hit on Meet Now and say like, okay, I want to hold a meeting now, and I can just invite some people into that. What I'm going to do is simply do a Meet Now to not lose time, and then I'm going to just maybe disable the mic and join the meeting. Simple as that. You can see that we have new options herein. The left, the first icon is managing the permissions. What we have been seeing with COVID-19 is that teachers are more and more using Microsoft Teams, and well, we needed some place for permissions because students were unmuting, bypassing the lobby, excluding their teachers from meetings. So if I hit on that icon, well, you will see that I have then a specific configuration screen where I can define who can bypass the lobby, if anybody can present or only you can present. And this is something tremendously good because if you do that and say like only me can present, then nobody can actually unmute you or mute you, and nobody can kick you out from the meeting. So that's the first thing. Then secondly, you have the download attendee list, which is also new, and it's quite possible that this is still not in your tenancy. Well, after a meeting, when you have like 50 people into your meeting, you can just hit on the download attendee list, and you will get an Excel spreadsheet where you can see all the names who have been joining your meeting. But that's not the most important one. The most important one is whenever you hit on share, well, you have the whiteboard application. The Whiteboard application is something that Microsoft acquired like 1.5 years ago, and now it's integrated into Microsoft Teams. The main advantage of Whiteboard compared to the Skype for Business or like Link for Business in the past is you had before a one-to-many relationship. So the presenter was presenting and everybody was listening. However, with Whiteboard now, anybody can draw. So me and all my colleagues into the meeting can draw. So I can draw a database, which is like and again, I'm sorry for the bad drawing skills. I have my SQL database, which has a connection to the cloud, right? And which has a connection to my Azure AD. That could be a schema, a meeting that you guys have. Fair enough, cool. In a team with 50 people, well, and you only were like 3, it's still okay. The good thing with that is if I stop presenting and if I stop my meeting, well, people who couldn't really join the call and see what's happening, they always can come under the Whiteboard tab into my chat and see what we have been drawing and continue the drawing into the Whiteboard. Or if they don't have access to Teams, well, they can simply come to the Whiteboard app, which is free to download from the Windows 10 app catalog. You can download and authenticate with the same token as you have under your Teams. So if you have like Gokan@valointernet.com in your team, will connect with that also with the Whiteboard. And Whiteboard will authenticate and see that there is a new Whiteboard meeting which has been shared with you. He will load that for you. You can open that while you have been missing the meeting, right? You did miss the meeting. You can see that, and you can continue that meeting from the Whiteboard application. So what you could do, and here is the magic, another trick, is you can add an image. Well, I can already hear you saying like, hey, Gokan, this is not rocket science. Well, in any application, you can add some image, but hey, if I hit on ink wrap, the Azure translation services in the backend will transform that image into a real drawing. And now I can say, oh, no, we had way more sales last year. So actually the AD stuff is not good anymore. Let's go for the cloud and maybe have a connection with Amazon, right? And then I can just close it. And then that drawing will also, and I don't know why I'm just here. Well, that drawing will as well replicate it into my Teams Whiteboard tab in real life. Instantly, I have all the drawing into my Teams. That means that I can have a real-time collaboration on a Whiteboard meeting with people who are into the team, who are actually into the chat under the Whiteboard tab and with the Whiteboard application. This is where we get to the next generation of collaboration with Microsoft Teams. Then, because we are lacking time and I have still like 55 things to show to you, under the profile picture, well, you can see that you have some statuses like available, busy, do not disturb. Do not disturb is the most interesting one because nobody can actually disturb you, meaning that they cannot call you, that they cannot actually ping you. However, if you come under the settings, under the privacy, you have what we call the priority access. That means that even if you are into DND, do not disturb, if you define some people into your priority access, well, those people can contact you and still chat with you or call with you. It is not the intention to bring everybody into your priority access, but at least a few ones that you think are actually very important for your work, such as your manager, your project manager, maybe your colleague, to add them here in so they can contact you anytime. What's really interesting as well to know, again, under the settings, is the notifications. I don't know if you have been using Teams a lot, but I've been seeing that like 2 years ago, the first application I was opening was Outlook. Today is Teams. And whenever I have like a meeting and a chat and a conversation, and I'm working on an Excel spreadsheet, whenever they chat into a team, I get a lot of pop-ups in blue, and it's really annoying to closing them all. So what you could do is here in just under the meeting, say like, hey, I want to mute every single notification of a meeting, and I want to just mute the messages, the notifications of mentions. Please have a look to the central location for the notifications, which is really, really, really interesting for you to know. You can change the theme and go for a dark theme or a high contrast theme, which I think are really, really ugly. The default one is still okay. You can do that. A last point herein is the set status message. I'm a guy who travels a lot, unfortunately with COVID-19, I cannot travel a lot, but what I highly suggest to you is whenever you travel is do something like that. Hey, I'm traveling, please contact. And then you can even mention people. I can even say like in organization, Sebastian, hey, please contact Sebastian because I'm traveling, and then hit on that show when people message me. So whenever they chat with you, even like your online, offline, D&D, XYZ, well, they will get that message like, hey, Gokan is traveling, please contact Sebastian if there is something really urgent to do. And what's really cool is that you can even clear the status of the message after XYZ time. It could be 1 hour, 4 hours, today, this week, or even a custom date range, which you can define for clearing the status. Then the search command box. This is something that I'm using a lot, and I highly recommend you to use that as well. If you want to be away, well, you could just do like this, and then, well, your status will be directly switched from DMD to away. I didn't do anything just by that. What's really good as well is that you can do files, and now it will show you the latest documents that you have been working on. So you don't have to search for, oh my God, which document I was working for. Just hit files, and you can see on which latest documents you have been working. And you can say like, oh, remember the Gokan's file that we created like 35 minutes ago? Well, I can just continue to work on that one, just straightforward within the search box. What you can also do is do the activity, and that's something I really love to do. I can see if somebody from my organization has been connected to Teams and what he did as an activity. And if you see like, oh, there is not that much activity going on with that user, well, then you know that he hasn't been doing a lot, or maybe he was just absent, and then you can just patient a little bit more for your question or anything else. But the activity is really something that I love to use because it shows me what the guy or the person has been doing into my organization. Then, if you do something like that, images, well, you get the big experience where you can actually search for stuff, and then Teams will go outside of the network and search and bring images for you. And if you search for SharePoint, well, hooray, I have found an image. It even says to you like, hey, be careful, image may be subject to copyright. And I can even go to the original source, which is on Wikipedia. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just copy that image and use that image somewhere. So what you could do is just come here into the chat, start a new conversation, and say like, okay, I want to use Farouk, I want to use Karim, and I'm going to use Serdar into a chat like this. And I'm going to say like, okay, let's copy paste that one and send that here. Straightforward, didn't even leave my Teams experience, and I have something coming here. What's really, really great is in a chat that you have the delivery options. So what my text now is actually a simple standard text, but you can also send an important text like, hey, please check image. Right? That's something important. And what you could do, and this is something really cool, which I think comes from the hospitals, I think. Like whenever you have to text a doctor and say like, hey, doctor, I'm sorry, but you have to check this. Well, whenever you send him a message like, please check urgent, well, it will send that message for 20 minutes every 2 minutes. So they will get every 2 minutes a new notification to check that message. So you have a standard, an important, and an urgent messaging into Teams. And what's new also is that you have the pop-up option available, but the bad thing with that, it's not available into the web version. It's only available into the client, which you will have a small icon just here, which will show you if you can pop up a message and write on multiple screens. What I've been discovering is the following one as well. You have the new option to see if what you have been writing, sending, has been read by people and how many of them. So we know that we have analytics, and people who have joined in my session yesterday, they can now see the analytics of channels, of teams, and now you even have on item level analytics where you can see how many people did read my message, and you can see 0 of 3 have been actually reading that. I'm going to show you something else which is really cool as well. And I'm going to start a meet now just herein. And as you can see, and I've showed that yesterday, you can have a meeting herein, or maybe I did prepare that because I knew it's going to be, yeah, I have it here, the transcript. So you can start a meeting, you can record a meeting, and whenever you recorded that meeting, it will first go to stream, will be encoded, and then bring back to your team. So whenever somebody has missed your meeting, they can simply come here and then hit on that video, and that video will just play within the stream experience within Microsoft Teams. And now you will see my meeting, and what's really cool is that you have captions. And you can see that my sentences have been correctly translated. How does that effectively work? It's whenever you have record the meeting, you just hit on the 3 dots, come under the open Microsoft Stream. It will go to the Microsoft Stream video page where you have your video. And whenever you hit on the 3 dots, you can do a bunch of options, such as downloading, deleting, trimming a video, or even editing the video. And here is where the magic begins. You can select the language of your video and say like, okay, please do some automatic transcription in those languages in English, and then define about who is the owner and who can see, and then just save that. And be careful to be always also have the captions also generating them, or you can also upload them. You can just apply that, and then that video will be actually published within your stream with the captions, with the transcript, and you can see I have like the transcript. I can just switch from one text to another just here, and then use that video into Microsoft Stream. We also have custom backgrounds. I'm pretty sure you already have been using that, seen that. The only thing I want to say you that there is actually no way to have custom backgrounds, it looks like, on the web version, and you definitely need to have the client, the FAT client. What I've been not showing yesterday is that you can actually archive some themes, and I did completely forget to talk about that. As you can see, I have like an archive theme. That literally means that if I don't need any soccer versus team football site, I could just come here and say like archive my team, and it will say to me like, hey, Gokan, are you sure? Because this will freeze anything from that team. And I can even make my SharePoint site read only for the members. Admins can still do stuff, but for the members, it's going to be read only. I'm going to archive that. And what you will see is now it gets this fancy icon just herein. And in a few seconds, it will disappear from my list because now it has been archived and I cannot use it or see it anymore. If I come back to that same screen and say like, okay, I want to de-archive that, I want to restore that, you just hit on restore, and in a few seconds, that team with the content will be restored in a few seconds to your Microsoft Teams. A few other best practices that I want to share with you is the following one. We know that Microsoft is going for a flat architecture, and I have to find actually a place where the SharePoint is not broken due to naming convention. And I'm just monitoring the time. We still have like 5 minutes. That's great. what's happening with a channel, if you don't really take care about the post, is what you can do is you can start a conversation and say like, hey, this is my file, and then you can just come here and attach something from your computer and say like, okay, I want to attach this herein. Fair enough, works great. If I save that, well, you will see I have my conversation, I have my file attached. If I come under the files, well, we are in a flat world, right? So it will just bring the file into the SharePoint experience. This is what normal people are doing. However, what I recommend to you is to do the following: to first upload this here somewhere, or even first maybe create a folder, which is maybe called meeting list, and maybe like do some information architecture, and maybe do something like pictures, right? Maybe also do something which is called timesheets, and then come into your picture, and from that picture do an upload, because then you choose where the file is going, right? I'm going to upload my picture just here, which is, I think, on my desktop about Jeff Deeper. I'm uploading that. It will take a few seconds before coming here. You will see that here. My file is there. And then what I will do is I will copy the link, come under, oh, did I copy it? I can't remember. I will copy the link, copy, there we go. I will come to my transcript, and now I can say, hey, this is the picture, and then I can just say, here is the link, and then paste link herein. Now, well, actually, you can say, hey, Gokan, there is not that much difference between what you have been doing on the first case and the second case. However, now I have decided where actually my file would be. It's not be on the flat architecture, but it's going to be on the flat, but in a folder where I have decided, where I still have a little bit governance and architecture going on the files experience. Last demo, because we have like 2 minutes left and I have really to hurry up, I'm going to show you how you can do real-time collaboration with the Word experience and the Teams experience. Therefore, what we're going to do is we're going to come to the files experience in any channel. And as you can see, I have a Word document. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, open this in the Word Online. There we go. It will open this into Word Online. I'm going to just bring that here. Cool. And I'm going to open the same document and edit this into Teams. And I hope now that my Teams will not crash. There we go. It's opening. So that means that I have the same document opened in Teams and opened in Word Online. And I'm going to show you how very fast and easy it is to see how real co-authoring is working with Word Online and Teams Online. And you can see already that I have the GO from Gokan Ozcifci, which says, okay, Gokan is there. And whenever I hit like, this is my last example.
No, and I don't know that I actually got it.
Did you like my session? And what you can see is in real time, I can see people who have been working on that file, on that document. I can even change here, and that one will be also replicated on the Word Online experience. I'm coming from the SharePoint world, and I really never could have a real collaboration, real-time experience into SharePoint server. However, with Teams, with Word Online, this is so easy. 1 minute before the end, I really hope that you at least learned something, because we have been seeing a lot of stuff, from publishing a Teams post, to DLP, to PowerApp, to Flow, to status messages, to whiteboard meetings, to recording, to permissions into videos, to chats, to important chats, to archiving a team, from SharePoint to co-authoring. I hope that you enjoyed the session as I did. And for all the attendees, well, I also had like a bunch of best practices, but I'm pretty sure we're gonna share the slides. But I have also a gift for every people who attended that webinar, that session. I have a free ebook to give to you, which is the HTTPS Valor of Love 31QZ-EFZ. Just copy that link, grab your free ebook, which is about Teams, SharePoint, about private channels, and enjoy that ebook. Well, Sam, thanks for listening to me. I'm